So what do the lumbar extensors do? They extend the low back. So how would it make sense to stretch them? So flex them. So if you're standing and you flex down, that's harder for most people as opposed to when you're doing it on your back. So if you were to bring your knees up as far as you can go, okay, and pull them into your chest. Okay, so this is good. It's sort of helping her lumbar extensors and her hip extensors. Okay, so if I wanted to stretch, I'd have to lay my body sort of across here for my body weight as the force to push down. She's very flexible, so whether I'm going to even get her to the point of stretch, I don't know. But when you guys work with each other, if somebody can only bring their legs to here and then you stretch them, you may feel a stretch. Okay? So that's for the low back. If I wanted to do a stretch this way, I have her legs come this way. I keep her shoulder down here, bring her legs out, and stretch. You put it there. And I can bring her down, and I'm obviously stretching here. If it's not enough for her, what I'll do is I'll block her hips with my leg, and then I'll say take your top leg and point it towards the wall, behind you. So now you can see how much rotation. Again, now you can give more of a stretch. If she does this by herself, she could do her own stretch. Okay? She's anchoring herself in the table. She's letting herself come as far as she can until she feels the stretch, and it's a good way to do it on your own. Okay? So that's for flexion, for rotation. The extension position is just on your stomach, so if you're going to go and press yourself up. So as she's doing this, she's going to shorten here, and she's going to stretch all the muscles on the anterior side. A little bit of her hip flexors, her abdominal muscles, everything's stretching. Okay. You get in this position here to stretch your hips. So it comes out underneath, all the way down, and way back. So he's doing his own stretch here, so I do it like that even more. So now if he does this here, he's essentially stretching the same muscle, bridge up, as she's doing here. Okay, so there's many different ways to get that muscle stretched besides on yourself. Okay. For the piriformis muscle, what does the piriformis muscle do? Yeah, so I mean, it's multi-movement, but I mean, it's an external rotator. So to stretch this muscle, you want to flex up, and then, you know, this here is external rotation, this here is hip internal rotation. So as she comes up and I bring her this way, I'm going to take my hand and put it here, sort of stabilize and stretch. Do you feel it? So the piriformis muscle should be stretched right across the gluteal region. If she wants to do it at home herself, she flexes up, puts her hand here, her other hand here, and she can come up and do it this way. If I have Pat, let me have you stand up. Face that way. Go down to your knees. And put your right leg behind you. Bring them up here, and then sit back. So he can stretch his piriformis. I'm not sure if I got you in the right position, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Who knows how to do that? I can't do it. Yeah, Brent showed you. Thank you. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I know Pat can do it. I was guiding him wrong. So another way to do your own piriformis stretch is here. So she's stretching her right piriformis. Okay. Another way Pat's going to demonstrate the figure. So he's here. He pulls he pulls his leg up this way, so now he's stretching. He's really stretching this piriformis muscle pretty well. Many different ways to do it, guys. You smart?
Huh?
You can do those things?
I do.
Go ahead. We'll let you do it. Go ahead.
I'll try.
Even yourself out. All right. Here, if I let her leg flop out this way, but this leg is stable, so one muscle is stretching here.
Adductor.
The adductors. So one way you could do it is you just basically keep your feet together, let the leg flop out. Her pelvis is stable because she's laying on her back. Okay? If I'm going to manually stretch it, my force is here, pushing down. If she does it, it's there. Sit up. Cross your legs. Put your feet together. Butterfly stretch. So yeah, so she could do her own stretch this way. Put your elbow here, and down. So again, she can do this alone because by sitting on her pelvis, she's stabilizing her own legs. Okay? Good? So abductors. Okay? Add in adductors. For the hamstring, a couple different ways to do this. So the most popular way I think people do is they. Can you grab me the blue or green fan?
The rope?
The rope.
Like a rope.
So Regina, if she was going to stretch her own, she would probably just loop this around. So she'd put this here, she'd hold on to it, and then with her neck and back comfortable, she lifts her left leg, and she's going to go to the point where she feels the stretch, okay? So the stretch here, guys, is going to be from where it attaches at the pelvis all the way down here. If she dorsiflexes, she'll feel more of a stretch, okay? Some people, this irritates their back. So a variation would be if she just bends her knee. So now, this is her starting position. Go straight up. She goes straight up until she feels her own stretch. A couple different ways on how to do that, okay? What do you guys prefer? For hamstring. Okay. Susie, come on over. So another way you can have your patient do it, hold on here. Put the heel of your left foot. Up tall. Okay? Now the thing with this is that when she stretches her right hamstring, she doesn't want to bend over with leaving her head and look down. But she doesn't want to do this, okay? She wants to keep her back in a semi-lordotic position. Now as she goes forward, now she's locking in that hamstring stretch.
My mind wanders.
Come on over. Now look at the difference. Maybe it's going to be tighter when Tim does this. Hold on there. Put your leg up there. Tall. So in your case, you might just have to hold straight up. Look forward, chest out, down. So here, there you go. So I changed his position. So if I let him do it this way, if I do this, his back is going to be rounded. So, but if I correct his posture and I say, just reach straight ahead, keep this part stable, reach straight ahead, go. As he does this, it's a better stretch for his hamstring than when he rounds his back. Does that make sense? Okay. So for the hip flexors, you guys remember how to do that? So the Thomas test that position, you're going to be looking for a tight rectus. So you can also do this with a person laying on the side of the bed. Her pelvis is stable, but to stabilize it more for this stretch, you ask your patient to bend their knee and hold your knee to your chest. So now she's flexed the position here. So now, when you have a two-joint muscle, they say that you want to stretch the distal portion first before you do the proximal part. Now, if I ask Regina, if I say, right now in this position, do you feel a stretch? So she's flexible. So if I push down here, you feel a stretch. So she's still pretty flexible. Now bend your knee. So now she feels a stretch. Now, we feel different if I do this. If I bend your knee first, and then push it out. Okay, so most people will prefer one or the other. You're still stretching the muscle, it's just you can vary it. So in her case, she felt it more when I flexed her knee, and then I extended her hip. And so that muscle now is stretched over her hip joint and knee joint. Okay? Onto your side. If I want to stretch her hip again, okay, so now I could do this. I can have her leg here. I can hold it here. I support it. I can take my body and block her hip and just rotate back and get this muscle stretched. She's so flexible, she's not going to feel it, okay? So now here, if I wanted to stretch, and again, you know, I would do this one, but I'm going to demonstrate the same leg. So here, I'm going to reach underneath. So I'm holding here, so I'm going to stretch this muscle, and as I pull up, I'm making her knee flex. That's one way. Or I can just hold and flex this way. Do you feel that? It's just, no, she's not tight. All right. That's also the same way you stretch the quadricep. Okay. For the muscles down here, side first. So if I wanted to stretch the gastroc, basically, I like to do it this way. I like to make sure that I have her leg straight, and I come back and I stretch like this, okay? You could do it the other way, where they're sitting on the edge, and then you dorsiflex that way. When you measure joint range of motion, you typically do it in sitting, so you take the hamstring out of it. But when you stretch, again, I like to, it's variation. If I want to stretch her perineals, these muscles here, I'm going to put my hand down at the distal tib fib, and then I'm going to apply a little bit of a stretch here, and sometimes the person will feel a little bit of stretch through the perineal muscles. Okay. For the muscles here, for the anterior tib, I'm going to plantar flex, okay, and go as far as I can. This muscle will be now stretched and elongated. If I want to stretch the great toe, remember, very important, great toe mobility is very important in gait, running, stability. Okay, trunk, hip, knee, ankle, foot. So all the muscles that cross the major muscles. Okay, I'm not looking at how do you specifically stretch the sartorius or the gracilis. I'm looking more as a group. The internal rotators, the external rotators, the adductors. The abductors. I really don't stretch the abductors. I mean the TFL, I mean, I'll do that sometimes, but I really